Welcome to the Fantasy Football Endgame. We're here to talk tight ends. No, don't change it yet. We're going to give you our tight end rankings because, you have to have a tight end in almost every fantasy football league. And a lot of times it can make a difference because you either have that top tier guy who's going to give you points each and every week, or you're struggling and you're playing the waiver wire. We don't want you to do that. So we're going to talk about our top 12 rankings, final preseason rankings. And we did even have some news that shook up our rankings because Irv Smith of the Vikings looks like he tore his meniscus. Will be out a while. Not sure exactly the timetable yet, but that's a guy that if you're playing late round tight end, then you might have been leaning on. So let's look at who is in our rankings. But let's start with the top three, of course. No surprise here. And the order is pretty much the same. We got Kelsey, Waller, and Kittle. I'll throw this to you, Chris. The first question is, how early do you feel comfortable taking a tight end? And do you prefer to have one of these guys or wait? Because it's almost an all or nothing proposition in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, this question again. I feel like we've answered this question all off season, but it is an important question. So, but the answer, unfortunately, is it comes down to your league. If you're in like a 10-team, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I will absolutely try to get one of these guys early if I can, because I can still get very good running backs and very good wide receivers to fill out the rest of my roster. If it's a deeper league, like our endgame league is going to be here on Thursday, where we're starting 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 2 flexes, then I will probably not get one of these guys because I feel like I'm going to take too big of a hit in my flex positions. Obviously, if they drop far enough, I'll take them, but where they're going, probably going to be too rich for my blood. So I wish I could just give you a straight answer and say this, this, and this, but really it depends. It really depends.
It always does depend, of course. That's why we don't tell you take this guy at this spot, because we have no idea how your draft's going to roll out. But we do think that we both are pretty much in agreement. Not shockingly that Kelsey is the top tight end. Personally, I'm not spending a first round pick on him, but early second, that's fine. Waller, late second, see how it goes. But you don't absolutely have to get one of these top 3 guys, right? Because look at the next group here. There's a couple of tight ends that I'm really big on. Mark Andrews had been kind of falling for both of us, but now Dobbins out for the year. The wide receivers are hurt in Baltimore. Mark Andrews has to be in that top 5 again. Should put up good numbers. And of course, my love for TJ Hawkinson runs so deep this year. I really think he's going to be the leading receiver in Detroit, the leading fantasy producer among all players in Detroit. So that's why we both, and I'm glad you're agreeing with me there, have him 4 and have Andrews 5. And then Pitts and Fant, again, both, this tier is pretty clear, right? There's no changes that we would make in this tier.
Yeah, this is kind of like the tier of the could be great, will probably be good tight end tier. Like if you have one of these guys, you feel okay that you can just start him every week. Hawkinson, we know he could, take a leap. Andrews now looking better and better as the season gets closer, as everyone around him drops like flies. Fant and Pitts both have upside, but both probably going to be, weekly starting tight ends in any fantasy league. So yeah, this is the tier where if you have one of these guys, you're not as excited as the top 3 guys, but you feel fine. Like, okay, I don't have to worry about my tight end position. I can just set these guys and forget about it every week.
And those who follow our mock drafts we've been doing all preseason long, we've done so many of them, might be surprised to see I have Pitts ahead of Fant and even this high, because I don't think I've drafted Pitts once in any of these mocks. And it's not that I am that high on him. It's just I'm actually getting a little worried about Fant. He just always seems to have something injury-wise. He's dinged up here and there. And so I actually just moved him down as opposed to moving Pitts up. But anyways, let's go to our final group here. Now, this is the group, our third tier of tight ends, where it's like, okay, you waited. Who's the best value pick? So we have Goddard. I have Logan Thomas next. You got Logan Thomas much lower. He's your TE12, barely jumping into this group. I'm surprised you're not a little bit higher, not just, of course, being a Washington football team fan, but you don't think Thomas is going to come close to repeating what he did last year? Because that would make him potentially a second-tier tight end there.
No, I don't, because they added Curtis Samuel. They added Dyami Brown, who I think is going to have a role. Last year, he was the number 2 wide receiver, essentially, and that's not going to be the case this year. I still think he'll be fine. I mean, when you get to this range of tight ends, this is the opposite of the tier we just had, right? The tier before, they have upside, but worst case scenario, they're just your starting tight end every week and you're fine. They're not going to kill you. This is where we're getting to the guys who are like tons of question marks. It's getting dicey. They could be complete busts. Guys who we don't even have on this list are probably going to come out of nowhere and actually be very good tight ends this year. We just don't know who they are yet because it happens every year. So, yeah, I don't think Logan Thomas is going to be able to repeat what he did last year. In fact, I think he takes a big step back because, again, more pass catchers, more mouths to feed, gunslinger QB, not really feeling Logan Thomas this year.
All right, but again, if you're waiting, you probably had Irv Smith there. Now he's out of the picture, so not necessarily for the whole season, but again, you probably don't want to draft him. Adam Trautman looked like a promising sleeper, and he's out for a couple weeks. We don't exactly know what's going to happen in that offense, so again, don't feel comfortable taking him as a starter. Like he could be a solid second tight end. Last thing I had to ask you about, because you have Evan Engram there kind of high after last year, issues with drops. Talking about mouths to feed, there's a lot more competition for targets in that offense, not to mention Saquon Barkley's back to actually provide a running game. So you have him over Goddard, which kind of surprised me just because I know you're so high on Jalen Hurts. If you guys watch our quarterback rankings video, talk about that. So why Goddard below Engram? Is it just because you think that Engram has less competition at tight end specifically? What's the rationale there?
Well, I don't think Evan Engram has a lot of competition for targets because I don't think Kadarius Toney is going to see the field much, if at all, at least not in the offense. He might be on special teams. Kenny Golladay can't stay healthy, and I think he's overrated anyways as a wide receiver one. I do really like Sterling Shepard. Darius Slayton is kind of who he is, so I think we're going to see, and yes, Barkley being back will definitely take some targets, but Evan Engram had over 100 targets last year. That's a ton of targets for a tight end, and I've talked about it before. All you really need to be a top 5 tight end is, close to 70 catches and 5 touchdowns. I think Evan Engram has the best chance to do that. I was really high on Dallas Goedert, but I'm starting to get down on them now more because not only have they been unable to move Zach Ertz, and it looks like they're not going to be able to move Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz has actually looked pretty good in the preseason, so that's going to hurt Dallas Goedert. But Quez Watkins has taken a leap. They drafted Devonta Smith, who looks good. It's just hard for me to believe that Dallas Goedert is going to have a target share high enough to be a productive week in and week out tight end. I mean, I still have him in the top 12 because, again, we're at this range where it's like, who knows? I mean, look, there's going to be guys that we're not even talking about right now that are going to crack into the top 12, top 10, maybe even top 5. That's how it works every single year at the tight end position. But we got to rank these guys. So right now, I just feel better that Evan Engram is going to have a higher target share in his offense than Dallas Goedert will in his.
Yeah, I mean, you never know by week 2 or 3, you might be starting Anthony Firkser, right? Just because he's doing better than Dallas Goedert or Mike Gesicki. We just don't know. I agree with you. I'm glad you mentioned Zach Ertz, the guy that's kind of been forgotten about because, he didn't do much last year and everyone thought he was going to be traded. He might be the top tight end target in Philly. Like I said, he's looking good this preseason. So don't just discard Zach Ertz. Remember, not too long ago, he was one of those big 3 tight ends. So if you're, waiting on tight end a really long time and you want to gamble, take a chance on Ertz, or better yet, maybe take someone who's a little more safe and then make him your tight end too. And, you can flip flop based on matchup. All right. So there's plenty of more tight ends we could talk about, but these are the guys you should be most focused on. This is our top 12 heading into draft season. Let us know what you think. And of course, hit us up with a comment, join our Discord, and join the conversation all season long. We're here to help you. All right. Thanks for watching.